wish he would have been in the bubble this year, but I mean that wouldn't make much of a difference because they went undefeated anyway.
Doing what he's supposed to do, he's being a team player. He's not the number one option to me.
So I just think that the whole offense should revolve around Anthony Davis. Welcome to this episode of Tell It How You See It podcast. I am your host, Dante Williams. I got my sports media mentor right here, Hometeam, Brandon Leak, 680 The Fan. I appreciate you coming with me.
Thank you. Glad I didn't mess up last time you had me come back.
I had to bring you back, man. You did a great job last time. I appreciate you coming.
All right, appreciate you having me.
Yeah, we got some NBA topics, NFL topics, and I'm going to get them to talk a little Braves talk, some Hawks talk, and some Falcons talk.
All right, let's get to it.
We're going to get started, man, with the All-Star Weekend and what you thought about the All-Star Weekend in Atlanta.
I thought they did what they needed to do. The players really weren't comfortable to come in with everything that was going on with the pandemic and traveling in from all over the country. Commissioner wanted to get the game and the event in because of the sponsors and the amount of money they were able to generate, even in a condensed schedule. So I think ultimately it all worked out. And the funny part is I wonder how much of what they did this year they might carry over, because I thought it was better to have all of the events on one day as opposed to dragging it out.
So you like the dunk contest at halftime?
I did.
You like the 3-point contest before the game. You like the skills competition before the game.
And however you want to do it, in my opinion, I think the 3-point competition now is the marquee event.
It is.
Yeah, and
it should be last. Actually.
However you put it in the gumbo to
you
make
put it at halftime.
Wherever you want to put it, that is your marquee event. The dunk contest, I think, it can come back to what it used to be, but we're past dunks now. It's not the draw. It's a game of basketball.
They done did them all.
Well, yeah. And the other thing is the game has changed. Now you have more shooters, and shooters that can shoot from 34, 35, 36, 43, 50 feet. So the game has changed, and I think,
more shooters than you got dunkers.
Everybody can shoot. And I think that if they make that marquee event, maybe they can do some things that can enhance it. But kudos to the players. They got it in. They were playing for charity. Great events, the Thurgood Marshall Fund and the UNCF Fund every quarter. They raised more than $2 million. So they were playing for something. The game didn't get out of hand and didn't get wacky. And they were able to entertain, make some money for HBCUs, and give the NBA fan base something they could be proud of.
I thought Steph Curry had an amazing weekend. He won a 3-point contest, and they showed out in the All-Star game. Him and Dame Lillard pulling up from half court. They just put on an awesome performance. Giannis got the MVP, but we all know that.
You know what? I think had Steph, and they do the voting before it gets right to the end of the game, the votes are in. But if Steph hits that last 50-footer to win the game after hitting 9 3-pointers, that would have set a new record anyway. You might have to be talking about MVP. And then what he did in the 3-point competition, where he wins on the final shot, final rack, final ball. It's almost like it should be everybody versus Steph for the 3-point competition. Have him come out. He doesn't have to qualify. You face Steph in the final round.
Right. He's done it 7 times, but he's only won it twice. So, I think 5 times he only won it twice.
And I think, maybe the competitor in him, Larry Bird, won it 3 times. He might want to go one more time and try to tell Larry Bird.
You gonna always have that shot. That shot ain't gonna leave.
He can do that when he's 40.
Right. So we're gonna move on to who you got for MVP this year, man, so far.
Joel Embiid was putting the team on his back.
He got hurt.
Just got the bone bruise. That's going to be hard, depending on how many games he misses, how much time he misses. But if he comes back, for a good run and they stay where they are in a high-power band and make it to the postseason in a good seeding, I think Joel Embiid has certainly put enough in his coffers, in the coffers of the voters, to say he's the MVP.
Right. I mean, he's my MVP. I hate he got hurt, but because they're gonna try to find any excuse to give it to LeBron.
Yeah, well, let's walk that back a little bit.
You already know that. You know that.
Yes, but it's how many times has it been where LeBron could have won it and he didn't? It's almost like Shaquille O'Neal. How many times could he have won it, but he didn't. So, LeBron's playing without Anthony Davis for a long stretch of the
That record
season.
is going to continue to get bad.
I think
that's what's going to hurt him. I think.
It makes them closer to mere mortal without Anthony Davis. So you have to wonder if James Harden will get some MVP votes the way he's continuing to keep Brooklyn on a high pace, taking over the point guard duties. But if I had a vote, I would say Joel Embiid right now and at the end of the season should be the MVP.
Yeah, let me get your top 3 point guards of all time.
Oh, on the spot. Well, based on what I've seen, I can go by what I know or what I've seen. Based on what I've seen, I'm going to go with Magic Johnson.
I got him my number 1.
A lot of people are not going to like this one. I'm going to go with Isaiah Thomas.
I got Isaiah number 3.
Zeke. Now you get into the new school. It's hard to take Steph Curry off of that list.
Right.
It's hard to overlook him, and his book is not finished. I would have to say Steph might be number 3 right now.
He in there. I mean, you got back-to-back MVPs. You got 3-time champion. I mean, if he retired today, he in there, in my opinion.
And I think he's going to be one of those players that has the cachet when he gets older, because he'll still be a three-point shooter and can always take that with him as he gets older. There still might be some really good players that come play with him. So he could win another title. He could win another title too. And then when Clay comes back, the whole thing gets ratcheted up again.
I'm not a fan of Clay coming back after that Achilles and that ACL.
Well, he might not be exactly the same, but if he's 85, 90% of what he was,
he's not going to be the same.
That'll be something to see whether or not he'll be able to stay in front of NBA players. But
that's what I love about him, his defense.
His shooting ability and the way he plays the game with Steph, they are a formidable duo. So I'm not counting those guys out, and I'm going to wait and see. Just like KD, when we get to the playoffs, that's when it matters, and we'll see.
You worried about that injury he got? Because, I mean, they taking their time. I mean, but they winning at the same time.
This doesn't matter right now. What matters is when they get to the postseason. Can he go 4 series? Can he win the 16 games? Can he win the 6 and 7 game series?
Right.
He might be an in for. But, I think the best I've seen, I'm going to go with Magic Johnson. I'm going to go with Isaiah Thomas. I'm going to go with Steph Curry.
We got the same 3. I just got Steph as number 2.
Okay.
And Isaiah's number 3.
Well, you know what? Steph's going to be on the top of the list. He's going to shatter the three-point mark, and you always have a generation where you say, well, this record will never be broken, and, 15, 20 years later it could be. He might be the one guy where he puts the three-point attempts, makes, and percentage at such a high rate. It is going to take a phenomenal player to come behind him and break his record.
I can see him playing at 38, 39 years old.
You can put that three-pointer in your briefcase, and that will travel wherever you go as long as you're upright. Right. You still have some 35. Look at Jamal Crawford and Kyle Korvers. Those guys were able to shoot for a long time, even after they weren't the go-to guy anymore.
I see him going back to Charlotte. If it's not a one-year deal, but going back home.
Go back home to the Queen City. Who knows? Maybe LaMelo Ball has the thing revved up at a high level by the time he gets there, 5, 6 years from now. That would be an interesting story as well.
Right. But let me get your Eastern Conference Finals prediction, your Western Conference Finals prediction.
Oh, that's pretty simple. That's going to be LeBron James and the Lakers in the Western Conference.
Still got confidence in them, huh?
If AD comes back. Is this contingent on AD?
You don't think that Achilles about to pop?
No, I don't think so. I think they're going to walk this thing up the right way because LeBron knows he's running out of, I can do it next year's. And so they need to make sure, now that he has a team that can win the title, they can get it. But I'm not betting against LeBron James, and the Brooklyn Nets could already punch their ticket. I don't think Milwaukee.
Who you got facing them? You got Milwaukee facing them?
I think Milwaukee will be there.
I got Philly facing them.
There you go. Not crazy talk. I think that Joel Embiid can put a team on his back. He's been to the Eastern Conference Finals before. It took a game set.
Philly's getting to the Eastern Conference Finals this year.
A lot of people think that he has enough to put them in the finals. I don't know if his team is.
He does if they come to play against the Knicks.
I think it's just going to be too many.
I see a 6-7 game series.
You're talking about 69, 70 points between Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and James Harden. Yeah,
it's going to be tough in a 7-game series.
That's going to be tough.
But I got, in the Western Conference, my dream matchup right now would be the Suns versus the Clippers.
That would be interesting. I don't think we need to write. The Suns are going to be a scrappy team.
Number 2 seed in the West right now.
As well are the Utah Jazz. I think they're going to be, a scrappy.
I don't believe the Jazz will come to the playoffs, but we'll see.
You have to wonder if they will learn from experience. Having a tough riding the bubble taught them something, and now that they've been out front for most of the season, if they'll find a way to win some of those battles when the games matter most. And who knows, maybe by the time we get to the playoffs, fans might be in the stands, so home court advantage might be back in play. So there are a lot of things decided, and that's a pretty rowdy fan base when you go into that building.
Right. Well, let's get into some Hawks talk, man. What you think about the firing of the head coach, and what about some new candidates? I got candidates. Chauncey Billups, maybe, Sam Cassell.
Well, first and foremost, I'm in the minority. I was a Coach Lloyd Pierce supporter, still am. Wish him the best. Didn't work out. We found out great reporting by Chris Kirshner and what they were reporting behind the scenes from the Athletics. Some people I had talked to for a while were talking about the problems that had been existing. And so, ultimately, it was a young coach, his first time. There's some things he has to learn how to mesh with a star player and young players. So hopefully that's a lesson he'll learn. The other side of it is I think some of the Hawks were to blame as well. Just because you don't like your coach doesn't mean you don't have to give everything you have to give. And I think now you're starting to see them diving on the floor. You're starting to see them not give up when they're down 15 in the fourth.
Nate McMillan.
Coach McMillan. And that goes kind of to the question you were about to get to. That has something to do with a coach.
You think he's a candidate?
Well, I would like for him to be. I don't know if he wants to be. And I think there are a lot of things that the Hawks need to show him. Does he want to start with a pretty young team with some unknowns? Will John Collins be traded or would be a part of it? But I think
I would trade him because he's going to be expensive.
The problem is, do you draft a guy, watch him get better, watch him help you?
He's going to be 18 at 8 at night.
Yeah, but that's because of Clint Capella. You brought in somebody else to help you with some of those rebounds and scoring.
You don't want to play too big.
Do you draft a guy, watch him get better, and then when it's time to pay for him as you get ready to ascend, say we don't want to pay you? I don't know what that says to the fans, but I think the experience of Nate McMillan has kind of settled the waters down, and I think that's what the Hawks need. If Nate McMillan doesn't stay, I would like to see them with a coach with some head coaching experience. I think one of the problems with the Hawks and in general in Atlanta is we always are hiring guys who get their first shot coaching one of our teams. So Lloyd Pierce, Mike Budenholzer, Larry Drew, Mike Woodson, they're all coaches that their first shot at coaching ever was the Hawks. When you get somebody with some experience, they've been around the block, maybe things can be a little better, a little faster. So if Nate McMillan doesn't feel like the Hawks are for him and he moves on, I would like to see the Hawks go get a more experienced or a coach with experience to come in and help for this next part of the journey.
Okay. We're going to get into some of this NFL talk. What about Russell Wilson? What you think about his, situation as far as wanting to get away from that Seattle situation?
It's really strange. You have to wonder if there's something going on behind the scenes because it's not in Russ's character or the course of his career to start complaining or to put stuff out on Front Street or talk about his teammates.
He's trying to get hit.
Offensive line wasn't.
He's trying to get hit, and at this point, you can't throw your teammates under the bus like that and then go back into that locker room this season. So I think you got to trade him.
So there has been a report that he had come up before the Super Bowl to be traded. So I don't know what that means. Did Seattle think about trading him? Were they fielding offers? Was there something they were ready to turn the page from? They won 12 games. You go 12-4 and go to the playoffs. You're not really looking to change quarterbacks. Then you give them a max contract. You're not looking to change quarterbacks. So really strange. The strangest thing, just calling out his offensive line and whoever's there, that's something he's going to have to repair before the season starts. But
it's no repair.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
You can't be the guy in the building that makes the most money and then talk about how poor the quality of everything else around you is.
Right.
Some things you need to keep behind closed doors. Or if you are getting hit and guys aren't taking care of their responsibilities, then you go to them personally. But I was surprised that Russell Wilson would come out and say that publicly. The other side of that is, if he's the face of the franchise and things are wrong and they're supposed to be addressed, face of the franchise is supposed to bring those things up from time to time, even if they're uncomfortable. So right. I hope he stays. I don't think they're better without him, and I think they can win a Super Bowl with him again as a quarterback.
I think he goes for the beginning of the season.
If he goes, it'll be a mega trade. He's not going somewhere where they're starting over.
It'll be a mega trade, but I don't think he can walk back into that locker room.
And I'm thinking that the places where he could go would be on the West Coast.
He already done put teams out there.
Yeah.
So you think in Vegas?
I'm thinking he would stay on the West Coast and what John Gruden could do with him. They have Darren Waller. They have Josh Jacobs. They have some pieces that you need when a quarterback comes in and wants to work with some stuff. I think if he did move, he'd still be out on the West Coast somewhere.
Right. Well, we're going to get to, what about Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, that got real ugly real fast. Can't lie to a guy. You'd be better telling him the truth.
Right.
He didn't like it, and so David Culley is coming in as new head coach. He's trying to smooth things over. It's clear, I think, to everybody. Deshaun Watson has taken his last snap, thrown his last pass as a Houston Texan. I think it's wise for the Texans to keep their mouths closed. If you noticed, Deshaun Watson has kept his mouth relatively closed. All of these have come from reports and clearly from people behind the scenes. You don't want to do anything to lower your value or lower his value where things get really ugly. And then other teams say, I don't have to give you anything because you have to get rid of him. You can't go forward without a quarterback.
You don't want to give one of them interviews and start throwing the organization under the bus.
So I think both sides have handled this well. We'll see draft night. The draft could be pretty interesting because Deshaun Watson, there's some Julio Jones here in Atlanta. There could be some guys.
You can't trade Julio Jones.
That's what I would think so. But there could be
$20 million.
There could be some guys who could be one piece away in the minds of certain organizations.
They gonna take that contract?
Let me ask you this. Well, they can't do it now that they signed Aaron Jones, but if you were Aaron Rodgers, you had Devontae Adams on one side and Julio Jones on the other.
They don't spend money now.
They typically don't, which is why they keep running into the same problem. They get so far and then they fail right at the end.
Right. Well, we're going to get into what about Dak Prescott and the money he just got? Because I think all those quarterbacks from the 2017 draft they're not special. Though Jared Goff got paid, not special. Carson Wentz got paid, not special.
Well,
Dak Prescott got paid.
I think he waited and played it right. He didn't take the short money. He bet on himself, and I think what helped him the most was after he got hurt, they saw that you just can't put anybody in there in Dallas and win games, and nothing other than being in position to win is what you want a quarterback to do. Dak Prescott puts them in a position to win, and I think Jerry Jones finally said it's time to stop messing around, lock him in. They know they have him locked in for at least 3 years.
A lot of money,
and then they can go forward and build the rest of the team, help out with the defense. They've spent a lot of money on the offensive line, wide receivers, Zeke, now the quarterback. Their offense is set, and now they can focus on the pieces to fix the defense to see if they can get back to a Super Bowl.
We'll see what happens, man. I don't see Dak Prescott winning the Super Bowl.
That's a bit strong.
Ever.
That man, he can throw the ball, he can run the ball in the red zone.
I don't like him.
And he can score touchdowns. That's ever. It's a long time.
Nothing special.
Oh my goodness.
Don't like him.
Not special, but he helps you put you in a position to win. Is what I
Win no Super Bowl.
How hard it is to win a Super Bowl?
It's hard.
How hard it is to get to a Super Bowl.
Well, let's look where he is now. Philadelphia, starting over at quarterback.
We talking about that division.
Well, that's where it starts.
We talking about I'm talking about NFC.
New York, the Giants. What are they going to do? You look at that situation. Washington doesn't have a
They got a good chance to get NFC East.
Dak right now is the best quarterback in the NFC East.
Right. Okay, that's not saying much.
They could be hosting. That's one less game you have to play, or one less game you have to play on the road. I'm not gonna write Dak off.
Win one playoff game and you out in the second round. That sounds like.
I think the problem will become all the money now that's been doled out to him and the offense. Will there be enough left or good enough draft to help the defense? If not, they might be a team that just suffers from going a little bit too heavy, a little bit too soon on a lot of their offensive players and not spreading it out.
Right.
So we'll see.
Pay Zeke too early.
Yeah, they might have to do something with Zeke's contract because the way he looked, he was running like a fullback last year. He didn't look like himself without that.
Renegotiate after next year?
Yeah, spread something out, but he got paid when he was, in a good spot, and that begs the question: how are NFL GMs going to treat running backs moving forward? Saquon Barkley is coming up on his deal. Giants not winning games. Giants not in playoff games. They have a stud running back. Do you pay him or do you not? We're going to find out because they have a big decision to make.
How you come back up to ACL?
Yeah, coming back off of injury.
Right. What do you think? All right. Best running back in the NFL right now, in your opinion?
Derrick Henry.
I'm taking Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook is a dangerous man.
You know what I mean? Your boy, he's just
You don't have to catch if you're running all over everybody.
yeah, but
It's a first down
you
every
want
other
that
play.
outlet if your quarterback get blitzed.
Yeah, it's a first down every other play,
Right.
and he can also pop the big one for the home run. Dalvin Cook too is a dangerous man, but I would go Derrick Henry number 1, Dalvin Cook number 2.
Okay, well, wide receiver. I got Devontae Adams.
I still like Nuke Hopkins. I think DeAndre Hopkins is still the best
Over Devontae Adams?
best route runner, best one-on-one guy, and best clutch wide receiver.
They got better hands.
If I'm starting a franchise right now and those two guys in the playground, you give me Mr. Hopkins.
I'll take Devontae.
Okay.
Okay, we got the NFL draft coming up. I got my top 3 pick predictions right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Clemson quarterback. I'm gonna go him first.
Trevor Lawrence.
Number 2, I'm going Zach Wilson.
Okay.
BYU.
So he's
to the Jets.
Okay.
Number 3, I'll take who I'm taking number 3. I got number 3.
Not going with a quarterback? Not going with offensive lineman?
Who got number 3?
It'll be the Dolphins.
The Dolphins. Oh, the wide receiver, Chase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase.
Give me him.
That's an interesting draft.
LSU.
Yeah. That means they would be sticking with Tua, and he would have another weapon, and a lot of the guys that opted out for COVID could be coming back, so
Right.
that would help them out as well. Devontae Parker and Albert Wilson will be out there, so that'll be a pretty good wide receiving core. Top 3 picks. If I'm a GM of those teams, I'm going Trevor Lawrence, number 1. I'm going Justin Fields, number 2.
Over Zach Wilson.
And yes, and I'm going Penei Sewell, big offensive tackle out of Oregon, number 3. If I'm the Dolphins, go ahead. If you're going to start, if you're going to start off with your quarterback, and
Okay, he need a weapon.
yeah, and he's a lefty too, so everything is somewhat reversed. Where you need to protect the right side of the line, but if you can take care of the left side, that way you can run things to that side and don't have to worry about it. But my top 3 would be Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and Penei Sewell.
What do you think about the Florida tight end Pitts?
Kyle Pitts,
Yeah, Kyle
he's
Pitts.
interesting. No tight end in the history of the NFL,
He could go top 5.
has gone that high, and you just have to wonder, the way my mind works, what if he's Travis Kelce? What if he's every year 1,000-yard tight end? You call him tight end, but he's a wide receiver. He's getting first downs. He's catching balls in the end zone. He's explosive down the field. I don't think if it's 4 years down the road, you're saying, oh well, we should not have picked him, at 4 or 5. You'll be worried about the production. So he's very interesting because I think he's going to come in. If he ends up going to a team that already has some weapons, he's going to eat and eat very well if he has a decent quarterback.
All right, what about the other quarterbacks? What do you think about your boy from the smaller school?
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance.
I haven't the film I've seen on Trey Lance. He's big, he's mobile. The talent level he was playing against, I don't know how to judge that assessment.
Right.
If he,
Same school,
I'm
Carson
holding
Wentz.
against him the same thing I held against Carson Wentz. If he was that good, how come everybody in the ACC, everybody in the SEC,
Right.
everybody in the Big Ten, everybody in the Big 12 passed you over?
Right.
Why, if you were that good? So I don't want to hold that against him, but the level of competition that he played. Zach Wilson, BYU played some teams, even though they're independent.
I love what I'm seeing on
And
tape.
he can move. We've seen what Trevor Lawrence has been able to do in championship type scenarios. And Justin Fields played in the Big Ten. He's played some big teams. He's been in big games. The sample size is enough for me. Trey Lance, I just don't know. That's what scouting departments and GMs get the big money for.
What about Alabama quarterback Mac Brown?
Mac Jones,
Mac Jones.
the only thing I don't like about Mac Jones is what people are telling me he can do, which is he's mobile enough and move.
He gonna go high, but he can't
I
move.
think everything else, his out routes, his deep ball, his touch on the ball, his recognition, his gamesmanship, all of that, leadership, playing at Bama, winning big games, all of that, I cannot overlook that. And you just have to wonder, I think he's a first round quarterback, and you just have to wonder if a team like the Patriots
Right.
or Carolina, if they trade back, something like that, somebody's going to get their hands on Mac Jones. I think he's a pretty solid quarterback.
Okay, what about Justin Fields to the Falcons? What do you think about that?
If he falls to 4, I think they should take him. Now, I don't see him getting past 4, so that's a story for another day. But if he's sitting there at 4, there's going to have to be a long conversation at the press conference explaining to the Falcons fan base why, if you're going to move on from Matt Ryan at some point, this year you can't move him. Next year after that,
hurt your cap too.
How can you not take the guy you think is going to be a winner? So that would tell me they don't think he's a winner. They would have to explain why, and very clearly to a lot of people.
What do you think about the Alabama wide receivers? I think I'm hearing a lot of Waddle before Devontae.
That's the funny part. Jalen Waddle was the best receiver before Devontae Smith, and Waddle got hurt.
Right.
Both of those guys are going to be okay. Everybody's looking at Devontae Smith's frame because he's just a wiry guy, but he's been playing football at that frame and playing in the SEC at that frame. Does that change when he gets to the NFL and safeties and cornerbacks will press him a little bit more? I don't know, but he's a Heisman Trophy winner. He knows how to adjust the routes, and I think he's a fantastic guy. I don't think you can lose. Personally, I would probably take Devontae Smith before Waddle because of his height, but both guys I think are going to find themselves in a lot of instances.
NFL, they love that speed, so I think Waddle go before Devontae.
Yeah, they'll both be gone in the first round. There's no question about that.
Of course.
Yeah, no question
What about the
about
running backs? What about Travis Etienne and Najee?
Travis Etienne, looks like he's the perfect kind of balance back you want. Can run it, can catch it, block enough. The stud horse is going to be Najee Harris. And if he's a first-round draft pick, do you move up to get that guy? If you're a team that needs one piece, do you move up to get that guy, or do you just wait and hope he falls to you? Falcons, I just don't think are at a position at number 4 to take him with the shape that the offensive line is in. You can't justify that in this draft.
No, second round, Travis Etienne might be.
If he's there, they're picking at 35. So you're picking at 4 and 35. If there's some way he's available at 35, I'm taking Najee Harris.
Najee gonna be in the first round. I think Travis lasts to the second round.
I trade Travis Etienne with my second pick. Or Javonte Williams, I like him. I just think he's a smaller back, and I think Travis Etienne, that Clemson product, and the way he's able to run and catch, I'd rather have him helping Matt Ryan run for some first downs.
All right, what you think about the Falcons' new head coach?
We have to give him some time. He took an average, I call him an average quarterback, in Ryan Tannehill, journeyman, and he turned him into a consistent guy with, I won't say a limited set of skills, but a base set of skills, and they were able to win games. They were able to run the ball, and they were able to throw the ball there. They had a 1,000-yard wide receiver from a guy who's not considered a superstar wide receiver. So if he's able to come to Atlanta and get himself a running back, I believe that the coach is old school. I think the other thing we need to look out for, he loved throwing to the tight ends. So Arthur Smith, his offensive scheme is centered about running the ball and good quarterback decisions, but he likes to throw to the tight ends. Maybe we become a team where the wide receivers may get a touchdown or 2 less, and the tight ends get touchdowns or 2 more.
We'll see. But what you think about what's your Super Bowl this? I know it's early.
Woo!
It's no free agency, no draft yet. But I'll tell you mine. I got Chiefs and Rams. I'm a huge believer in Matt Stafford.
Yeah,
I think the Rams win the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, I'm gonna say probably the Chiefs. Don't sleep on the Patriots too. Remember they had 10 guys that weren't there because of COVID, so they're getting their whole team back.
Patriots.
Yeah, don't sleep on them.
I'm all the way sleep on them.
I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's bad money to take your money or your mama's money and bet against Tom
he's getting older and older, right?
He's getting older and older, and he's not dropping off. And his team is getting better and better. And now that they've locked in Levante David and they've locked in Chris Godwin, they're not going any place anytime
soon. Might lose Shaq Barrett.
They could, but they still have money to spend, and there's a Jadeveon Clowney still walking around on the street.
Did he sit out the whole year last year?
Yeah, they're gonna find somebody on that defensive line that already helped their stellar defensive line.
We'll see. But we're gonna get into a lot of Braves season coming up. What you think about the Atlanta Braves season coming? Do we think we'll make it to at least the national championship?
I expect them to be in the National League Championship Series. I'm hoping they go to the World Series. They're good enough. Their hitting is good enough. Their first 3 pitchers, if Mike Soroka comes back completely healthy from his Achilles, will be better than good enough. And the question will be the bullpen. They didn't go back and get Mark Melanson. They haven't gotten Shane Green yet, so you lost a couple of guys on the back end. But the way they hit, the way that they're going to be able to run the bases, the way they're going to hit for power, the way they're going to drive in runs, their offense, I think, will be on par with the Dodgers again, and I expect them to hit their way into the National League Championship Series if you're going with Soroka, Fried, and probably a good seasoned Ian Anderson now. Charlie Morton's your 4th guy. That's enough to get you where you need to be.
Cool. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Tell It How You See It podcast. I got my boy Hometeam Brandon Leap with me this time, man, and he'll be back.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming.
Love to do it.
Thank you. Tell It How You See It podcast. I'm signing out. Dante Williams.
Wonder where you are. 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 Wonder where you are.
Resources, hitting deals coming off the E-course. Here in the booth, I'm killing shit, I ain't having no remorse. Job was pulling up in a gray Porsche. I've been on the track like a racehorse. I was looking for it in the dark. I seen a lot of people get scarred. We was in the cut, you might call it alley. They was smoking midget, we was smoking Cali. I was in the bed, then I made a rally. I was in the trap riding on some rallies. This is no cap, I was paying salary. We was moving weight, we was counting calories. We was counting up, trying to make a way quick. Pizza Hut started making plays. Peanut butter, good size, 8Js. Trying to make money 5-8 ways. I been down now, I'm flying to Jamaica. White boy party, I done died 8 Jaegers. Fuck that party, I keep my mind on my paper. Fuck that shit, I got the mind of a taker. Fuck that bitch, I got a queen and an acre. BLM, I'm going black like a raider.
Wonder where you are. 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 Wonder where you are.
Running, trying to get up on it. Running in the city, running in Saucony. 7-9 running, got a couple ponies. 7-1 money, wrecked it last summer. Going too fast, trying to rake in all these commas. Looking for it, I done dug a couple tunnels. Running workout, I been a whole runner. Blue flame, we done been some whole stunners. West Atlanta put malice in my mental. Got my apartments looking like Allen Temple. Call my partner, coming back in a rental. Call my lawyer, I got a stack for his dinner. 2 degrees, I got clear communication. 2 degrees, I'm still trapping like I'm baby. Mama clueless, she just happy for a baby. I didn't choose it, the shit just gravitated. I been underground, I been in the basement. I been trying to dig up a large pavement. I be spitting this shit for real, y'all just be spitting y'all shit for entertainment. I ain't got no limit, catch me in a tank. Stack that money up till that bitch faint. Hop on top, then we shoot off like a stop. Free as fuck, tell me where you are.
Wonder where you are. Wonder where you are. Wonder where you are. Wonder where you are. Wonder where you are. Wonder where you are.
Yeah, up there. I ain't have a bus fare. Yeah, now I got a test squad. I can't get enough pals. I can't do enough math. Tough scene when I seen on the bluff out. All 14 hanging with the rug rats. We all in the huddle asking where the love at. We putting money in hoping that it come back. In our mind it's always combat. In the pain that's where our songs at. In the game we just lucky to come back. Freedom of mind we just lucky to see it. I'm freeing my mind, I'm just lucky to be it. I'm freeing my mind, I gorilla my tree. I gorilla my grind, I'm swinging from trees. Invest in my seeds and options and stocks. It's left up to me, no option to stop. At 73, I'm keeping it stopped. Man, fuck all that shit, I'm dropping the top. I pop and pop out and hop back in my buggy. It's known on my side, I'll be keeping it duggy. It's known in my trial that I've been through the ugly. All of my life I've been looking for lovely.
Wonder where you are.